Hello and welcome to the Two Brain Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Mateo Lopez, and I am one of the digital marketing mentors at Two Brain Business. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be your weekly dose of digital marketing magic. We're going to talk about different marketing strategies, campaigns, and hear from other Two Brain clients and see what they're doing out on the internet to grow their business. In today's episode, we have two very special guests. We have Leighton and Joleen Bingham.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Yep. Yeah, that's how
Bingham.
You say it.
From 13 Stripes CrossFit. And I'm really excited because both these two have been with Two Brain for a while, but also one of the first people to go through the Two Brain marketing addition to the incubator program. And so I'm excited to catch up with these two and just see what we can learn about their business and how they market and all that fun stuff. So, hello, you two.
Hello.
Hey. So you've been on various videos, I think, before. Some people who've been following Two Brain may know your story, but for those who don't, tell us a little about you two and your gym, your business, how long you've been open, and let's start there.
All right. I can start. So we purchased the gym in June of 2016, about a week and a half after our son was born. So it was kind of a whirlwind experience. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing. We were lost. We just thought it would be fun to own a gym. He thought it would be fun to own a gym, I should say. I kind of came along for the ride. We literally had absolutely no idea what we were doing. When we started the gym, it was kind of on the downhill slope. There was a manager in place who had no clue what he was doing either. A lot of people had left the gym. And we took over it in June and then realized after a few months that we really had no clue. So I started looking around for ways to kind of help us and stumbled across Two Brain. And I remember taking the first call with Chris sitting on the floor of our massage room. We had somebody covering a class for Leighton because at that point he was coaching all the classes, maybe one or two. He wasn't coaching a week. Somebody covered a class so that he could jump on the call with Chris Cooper at that point. It was a little bit hectic. He missed about the first 2 weeks of our son's life because he took over coaching everything right about the time that he was born. So that's kind of our backstory of how we came to Two Brain.
For this, because I think a lot of people are still, we're getting a lot of inquiries and gym owners asking about opening a business, starting a gym. Tell us a little about the experience of buying an existing gym. What was that process like for you two? And any advice you might have about someone who's thinking about doing the same?
So going through the process of buying the business, we were trying to get some numbers out. I'm trying to get some numbers and we couldn't get anything solid. So we went ahead and like, okay, maybe we can make this work. So we got everything signed. We went to the lawyers, make sure everything was legit, and then kind of dove in.
So, and the other thing is there were not enough numbers. We couldn't even get a business. This is pretty bad. We couldn't even get a business loan to purchase the business because he couldn't produce enough finances for somebody to give a business loan and say that it would be a sound investment. Now we know, obviously, that's a red flag. You wouldn't do that. We didn't know that at that point. So we were lucky enough that we were able to purchase it outright, but it was in pretty bad shape at that point.
Yeah.
So I would say anybody who wants to buy a gym, make sure you've talked to an attorney, you've looked at the accounting, you've gone to their accountant. Definitely don't do it the way that we did it.
Yeah, check but you should be able to get business bank statements and see where the money's going.
So he was using it as a personal and business bank account. It was one joint one.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. That's great. I love that.
A long ways.
Yeah. Words of caution. Talk to a lawyer.
Yeah.
Step 1. Step 2, make sure you can see a record of money being moved around, purchases being made. I love it. Great. So you talked a little about, you got this business, didn't really know what you were doing, just thought it would be awesome or it would be fun. You purchased the business, started getting your hands dirty and realized, oh man, something, we gotta talk to somebody or fix.
Yeah.
What was that moment? What was that like? I don't want to say, oh shit moment, but that moment of like, oh,
well, so,
what did we just get ourselves into?
Yeah. So we obviously we had purchased the business, and then it was like, well, how are we going to pay for everything? How do we get new people? Mm-hmm. And how do we not lose any more people than who the guy before us lost? It's like, or how do we get all those people back? Well, what do we really do? That was kind of and I'm going to give 100% credit to my wife, because had she not had the fortitude to just continually try to talk me into talking to Chris at Two Brain, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I have an amazing Fran time, but Fran does not sell anything. So,
yeah, I think that's a lesson I think a lot of us learn the hard way too. It's like,
yeah,
I love this thing. Everyone should love it as much as I do.
Yes.
And it's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to compete. Like that was the original thing. Like everybody wants to be a competitor, but that's not.
Yeah. If I make it to the games, everybody will just come in droves to the gym.
Right.
No, that's the 0.01%.
And so I know, like I said before, some people may have heard this part, Joleen especially talking about this maybe in other videos and things like that, but how has your business changed since joining Two Brain and, implementing some of the things you learned in the incubator?
I'll start with the back end stuff. So we actually have systems. We have things written down so that if we're not there, people don't have to call us. And if they do call us, we tell them to either go look in the binder or politely ignore them until they go look. That's the point I'm at right now. But just a much better organization in the back, a social media strategy, the presence to know that we need to make a shift in the people who we are looking for in the gym, and to know that you can't
do everything yourself.
You can't do everything yourself. Yeah. That we needed to hire people. We were running it basically the two of us, no staff, no other coaches except for here and there. And we've done a lot of that. Obviously the numbers have changed significantly because of that. And we talk about the sales process, that's all Leighton.
Yeah. So the sales process from when we started was, hey, just get people in the door. I don't care what they pay. Come to a free class. And all of our coaches were just giving out free training. It's like, okay, yeah, everybody wants to help everybody. But why, when we can, have everybody have the same exact experience, and nobody feels slighted or anybody gets more training than one or the other. And that's kind of.
Well, and actually to add to that, almost, I would say about 70% of the gym had a discount of some kind.
Yeah.
So Leighton actually had to physically talk to each person because the discounts were so big that we decided that an email wasn't going to be able to. We had to have those face to face. I say we, he did. He's the hard conversation person.
Yeah, I had 60 some conversations individually every single. It was a 2-month process.
Yeah, that rate conversation is never an easy one to have. And so tell me a little bit more about, you were doing everything yourselves. Mm-hmm. How long did it take before you were able to get to this point where you have a staff manual, you have processes, you have a way to direct people to say, hey, this is how you open the gym, this is how you coach the class. If the sink breaks, don't call me because it's in the manual already. How long did it take, and what was that process like?
I would say it took a while for, I think, both of us to get on the same page. And I think that's where it's hard when you own a gym with somebody else. He would be focused on one thing and I would be focused on something else. And it wasn't until we kind of had a moment with our mentor who said, look, you got to stop stepping on each other's toes and just do your part of it. So it took at least a year for us to come to that realization that we weren't fighting each other, that it was kind of a he should be doing one thing, I should be doing another thing type of thing, to get all of those lined up. And the stuff, the SOPs, that's find something that they can't do, I write a new one, because I don't want them to bother me all the time. Not that I don't like our staff. I love them. Some of them, as hard as it is, some of them are friends. So it's kind of a strange boundary, but it took a while. And then getting a hold of the actual marketing part wasn't until we started talking to Two Brain Marketing. And I believe I was one of the original ones who sent that, like, I want to do this. I told Leighton and he was like, okay, whatever.
So, yeah, I think that's a really important point, though, that you just made, where there's a lot of places where you can, learn more about how to run a business, a lot of places where you can find a book or a course or a tutorial on how to run some ads. But I think having that mentor and having mentorship and someone to coach you, say, hey, no, you're stepping on each other's toes, or, hey, the focus is not aligned, or, hey, like, we need to circle up. Having that person hold you accountable, and I know when I went through the incubator, hold me accountable, I think was critical to my success. Did you find that was the same for you?
I do. And I think having those action steps, I think that was something that definitely for me, I need to see, this is what you need to be doing. These are the things you need to take on. I'm a big list person and a deadline person. So that's what I like. And I think one of the things that's actually really helped us make a lot of progress, even in the past few months, is we have separate mentors now.
Yep.
So both of us are actually getting that mentoring. And I think it's kind of doubled our progress at this point. And I had never even thought that, I don't even know why my brain didn't go there to say, hey, why don't we get another mentor? You focus on yours, I focus on mine. Right. But people who work or who own a gym with somebody else, I would even suggest something like that too.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And so now that you've kind of evolved, your business has changed, you have a staff in place. Mm-hmm. In your words, what do you sell and how do you sell it?
Yeah.
What do we sell? We sell a way to help people get their goals, make their goals. Whether they want to be healthy, they want to make it games, whatever.
Nobody wants to make.
Yeah, everybody wants to make these games. No, we're really just like selling a lifestyle. It's crazy. And how do we sell it? Well, I'm currently doing all the No Sweat intros. We're training somebody, but we always take the help first approach. There's so many things out there. You can, anybody can sit in an office and say, okay, here's our 6-week challenge. It contains nutrition, contains personal training, and it contains group classes. Well, but how does that help anybody? And I think that's the most important component that anybody's missing. If you don't know exactly what you're selling and you can't like deliver it to whoever you're talking to, as a help first approach, like, how's nutrition going to help this person get to their goal, of gaining 10 pounds, or how's it going to help them get, to the goal of, losing 50, then you shouldn't recommend it to them. We always go with nutrition and PT first, regardless of what we have on our marketing, because through personal training, it's a completely customized program to that person, and so is our nutrition. Now we have two different level of nutrition. One that takes that has a ton of accountability, one that has a little bit less, but regardless, you're getting the same service. So that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah, and I think since we switched to that approach, our person, when we didn't have any personal training clients. That was one of our biggest struggles, even up to several months ago, before we started, but actually basically before I turned over the marketing to Leighton. Once he got a hold of it, that's when we started making the shift in it, because it wasn't my passion. It wasn't my perfect day. So I think with him, he's been able to really emotionally reach people, which is strange for me to say, but he can connect with what's their pain point, or what's the thing that is going to drive them to make a change. So whether it's getting in shape for a wedding, or they have kids and they can't play with their kids, he's been able to really find that for people and help with it.
And that's what really, I think, for us is it just drives our sales. And then on the back end, not only once you get those people in the door, making sure that, you know, all throughout your foundations, you're helping them continually to set goals. That was one thing that's I think is going to continue to drive our leg up. Right now our leg is about a year and 8 months, 7 months. So it's 572 days exactly. But just continually setting goals, even through the entire process, and disseminating the information from with the sales to the person that's doing foundations, from the foundations to the person that's doing the personal training. And then when we sell personal training, even though it may be a 90-day journey, we project out for 6 months. Hey, this is how we're going to help you get to your goal. And not asking, okay, do you want to continue? Just automatically assuming, this is how we're gonna help you, and this is what we want to do. Because I think the minute you take the assumption out of there is when you see your biggest drop off of people just leaving. So that's kind of it.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of stuff in there, but it sounds like one of the key components to your sales process, and I think to any successful and good sales process, is being able to tie the feature of your service or benefit of your service to their goals or their pain point. It's kind of what you touched upon. It's, this thing, we offer nutrition. This thing, we offer personal training. But being able to tie that benefit of the program to the prospect's goal, to the challenges they're facing, how that benefit's going to help them overcome their pain point, I think is key. And I think that's what you were touching on just a few minutes ago, which is awesome. I think that's critical. How do you, when you understand someone's goals, and if you're doing a lot of the sales, how do you disseminate that to your staff? How do you make sure that message about that client gets to the staff members who are actually going to fulfill a lot of the coaching?
So after the noticeable intro, we sign the client up. I assign it to whatever staff member I think fits best with their personality, and then I just have a brief with them. Hey, this person has a bum shoulder, or this person has a wedding in 3 months, and this is really what they want to do. But even though I do that, I tell them, I still want you to do a goal setting session, and I still, for the personal training, I still want you to do a goal setting session for the nutrition. And then we're going to do, if you're getting 100% accountability for nutrition, we're going to do one every single month.
Do you do that in like a email to them, or do you do that in your staff meetings?
So for the staff, that's more of a conversation.
Yeah, it's more of an in-person conversation, face-to-face.
And we actually use a software. Am I using the right word? He's the computer person. Is that something?
Okay,
sorry. Where we keep track of the goals. So the GM who is going to be running our second location is actually starting to do some goal setting sessions. So keeping track of those goals so that everybody can access them, and have that visible to anybody, so that if she does move, or for whatever reason a coach does leave, we have a record of everybody's goals, and we can assign another coach to that.
Yeah. So essentially, to improve upon my process would be to write everything down, and just that way I don't have to have the in-person conversation, because meeting with somebody isn't always going to be, but having it written down is.
You have your in-person meetings with your staff to debrief them. And then you also it's in your process for your staff to also sit down with the client when they're going to work with them and make sure they get it from them, hear their story from them. Awesome. Cool. And so how has your business changed since using paid advertising and some of the strategies we teach in Two Brain Marketing?
Well, we had 0 personal training clients before. I'm not going to say 0. We had 1 personal training client who was sporadic from, it was a high school student who would come in and work with a former teacher. So that was pretty much all we had.
Yeah.
So we've definitely increased our personal training clients significantly. We have added the fact that we're having a GM now to do that. We are adding another nutrition coach because we need a second one. And we've added several more coaches. We're actually interviewing another coach to possibly move into another full-time person tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow. So basically it has increased our revenue significantly.
Sure.
We're almost double at this point. Maybe not quite double yet, but we're almost double from when we started just with the marketing. And the ARM is up, I don't know.
Almost 200.
It's up almost $150, $140. I have to double check the numbers for this month. But just from adding the personal training, adding the nutrition so that everybody's coming in now doing that nutrition. Before the whole sales process, it was more people would come in and just do our foundations and then go to group classes. So this has added a whole nother component of revenue for us that wasn't there at all.
Yeah, and I think with paid advertising, the one of the biggest benefits is we can target exactly who we want to come through the door. I say exactly, but we want a certain clientele that meshes well with all of our other clientele. So our audience, isn't 19, 20-year-old people that really start coming clicks and they can't afford us, and then you're like, okay, well, sorry,
Leighton, walk us through your process. How do you set up a campaign? When do you decide you're going to turn one on, and then what happens once you talk to us about the build out? What happens after the ads are on, and then a little bit about your lead nurture and sales process.
Okay, so typically to build out a campaign, what we do is I do a lot of analytics. So I try to see where we have a deficit in the gym. If we're, I want to say overstrength. If we have a lot of 35 to 39 people, we want to try to fill it up with a little bit of older range or younger range, depending on what clients best fit. And then what will really drive the campaign is what keywords people are searching for right now. Summer slim down, or the 6-week challenge was a big one for a while, or the 90-day journey. So what really people kind of want or they're looking for, and then picking a picture to match, because a picture says 1,000 words, but it's really true in marketing. With older females, you don't want, I call it the mid-workout face. You don't want people really show people struggling. You want to see happy faces. That actually drives 100% more people than anything else. And then when I choose to switch the campaigns, would be when our leads or cost per click gets up, upwards of $15, $20 cost per click. So, or we're not receiving at least 1, maybe 2 leads every single day. So when our return on investment is starting to drop, or it's costing me more to bring one client in, then we're going to invest that in total marketing.
I think something you said is so true. I think the creative and making sure that the message and media matches the audience. And I think spending some time and some money testing certain pieces of ad creative can really pay dividends in the long run, which is something I spend a lot of time doing. It sounds like I know you spend a lot of time doing as well. And then once someone does inquire for your service, maybe they see an ad, maybe they find you on your website, what happens?
So we have it set up for the no sweat intro. They'll come in through a no sweat intro. They'll sit down, and before they'll schedule it. If they don't schedule it, we have automatic emails that continue to send it out. They have a button. What's that called? I can't think of the right word, but a button. Call to action. Thank you. Yep. A call to action in all of the emails that go out to them for at least 2 weeks. There's approximately 7 emails that they'll get with a call to action. If they do schedule a no sweat intro, they get immediately texted or send an email. We're not at the place currently where we can immediately call everybody, but that would be ideal, is if we could immediately call. The day before the appointment, they are sent an appointment reminder. We had to make some tweaks. For whatever reason, Google Maps doesn't come to our address correctly. So we've had to actually, and we've, through trial and error, had to start sending them links to other maps to get there. And that's where I stop. And it's actually interesting because we actually split the lead nurture up currently. So I do up until the point that it's about a day before the appointment. And then Leighton takes over so that they know who they're going to talk to. Right. One of the things we're actually just noticing is we put our GM on the calendar for no sweat intros sometimes, and they have a choice to choose between Leighton or her. They're all choosing to book with her because it's a female name. So when the availability is there, and that's the one thing that we noticed, is that having that female presence seems to be a lot more comforting for them. So when they get to that day before the no sweat intro, he calls and the video text that gets sent, if he doesn't get a call, is actually of me, because then it's a female, which we found was less, I don't want to say threatening, but less intimidating to them. And they were more likely to text back if it was a video from me.
Yeah, less creeperish.
Yes. And if the video came from our personal phones, not from, say, UpLaunch or whatever other client system you're using, they were more likely to text back if they had an iPhone and it was a blue message that came through. It's just those little things that we've kind of started to tweak a little bit. So at that point, he takes over and then does. Yeah.
So I take over, and then if I don't get a text back or a call back the night before at 8 p.m., we actually cancel them out. We just cancel our appointments. I've only had one person show up in the last, I want to say, 6 months?
At least, yeah.
Six months that we cancel it out, and that's because she gave us a bogus phone number. Yep. So she showed up, and she still spent $1,200.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was awesome. But anyways, so everybody else, they just don't show up. I actually even canceled out the wrong person one time, and they still showed up. But I put them back in. So they're like, why'd you cancel me out? But anyways, so we cancel them out 8 p.m. so more people can book. And then fast forward to the day of, what I actually do in the morning is I get an email from my phone with appointment reminders on it, and then I just go down and text every single person. Say, hey, this is Leighton from 13 Stripes. I still have you on my calendar for X time. I just want to know if you still need directions to our location. I'm excited to meet you. And then if they don't text back or show up, or they open the message and read it and don't reply, we cancel them out. And just don't show. That way, one, we're not wasting our time. Two, possibly somebody could fill that time slot if it's within 6 hours.
Yeah, we have a 6-hour booking window for appointments.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, it sounds like you got that confirmation process dialed in, so you're protecting your time. and it just frees up. Yeah, you can use that time to generate more inquiries or more sales, or someone else can take that spot, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so on average, how much are you spending per month on paid ad?
2,200 for one, and then
a month.
2,200 a month total.
And on average, how much front end sales are you bringing in?
About, let's see, 37 on a low month. And
no, the lowest has been 5.
Okay, 5,000. I'm sorry.
I'm the numbers person. Sorry.
I'm thinking about how much it costs versus whatever. Yeah. So like 5,000.
Our best month was almost 9,000.
Yeah.
So.
For
wow. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
that was December. Strangely enough, our best month was December.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually a slow one. That's great. So, how are you? Has this helped you? In the process of opening the new facility and thinking about expanding.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yep. So right now we're running awareness campaigns. We actually are going to start the Founders Club campaign tomorrow. Now that we have the space, we got the keys to our second location yesterday.
Nice.
So we can start doing the no sweat intros. So that should be tomorrow or Sunday at the absolute latest for the Founders Club. Before that, I honestly am not even sure how we would have gone about opening. Obviously legwork, talking to people, being out in the community, but how do you reach the 50,000 people that are within 3 miles? Even if only half of them are on Facebook or on other social media platforms, how do you reach that many people? There's not really a better way to do it.
Yeah. And relying on your people for word of mouth, organic marketing, isn't enough. Yes, some of it works, but it doesn't. If you're wanting to open a second location or even hit revenue goals for your first location, it's not enough.
And so, going from buying this gym, not really knowing what to expect, coaching all of the classes, wearing all the hats, and then getting to this point where your business is profitable enough to sustain you, your family, and your staff, and profitable enough to fund and fuel and open a second location. What do you think has been the key to your success?
Mentoring, listening to our mentors and acting on what they tell us to do. Yep. And then not fighting against each other, but working with each other. We still struggle with that sometimes. Sometimes I feel like our mentors feel like they might be marriage counselors too. But I think just taking action. I mean, you can have all the great ideas in the world, but until you do them, and I'm just like everybody else. I get nervous, like making phone calls sometimes to people I don't know makes me a little nervous, but it's something you just have to do. We were both working full-time jobs in addition to running the gym. And within the next 3 months, the gyms will be our full-time jobs for both of us. So,
wow. Because I feel like a lot of people are going to say, like I've interviewed a few people that are saying, yeah, mentorship, but can you give us an example of a time in which you maybe were faced with a task and you might not have taken action had it not been or for your mentor, or a time where they pushed you over the edge to be able to get what needs to happen done?
Since Two Brain brought on the Tinker Group, I'm part of it, and it's exponentially helped me grow. As hard-headed as I am, and listening to anybody else, it's tough for me to do. But
yes,
yeah, God bless Jeff Smith, him putting up with my calls. He's helped me immensely. Yesterday, I had a call with him, and like finances for us is a big thing. I mean, for anybody, it's a big thing. But
we have two very different
approaches. I mean,
right.
She likes to save. I like to spend.
Right.
But I like to save and spend. So helping me have the conversation and to articulate it to Joleen was the biggest thing. And it was almost groundbreaking that it lifted so much stress instantly off of me. So yeah, and another one was actually sitting down and me not taking hold of, but just like going through all the money we spend with both our personal and business and setting up a budget. I'm sure everybody says, hey, I know how much money I spend. But do you really? And how much are you budgeting for? How much is in your operating account? How much is in your spending account? Are you, just emptying every single account you have to go in on the next big thing? I'll do that. And she's,
no, yeah, I won't do that.
And she won't do that. But luckily to the mentorship, I've stopped doing that and recognized, that I just need that I just need to focus and I need to stop trying to do that. So I like to take on a lot of projects, especially when the pressure's on, and having the mentor there saying, focus. You just need to focus. That's it. Focus on doing what what you're supposed to do and do it to your 100% fullest potential has really helped.
So I'm going to add to that because I told him exact same thing earlier in the day. Like my words in a text to him were, you just need to stop and focus. But it didn't resonate at all. Not at all. So he came home, or we talked later in the day, and he said, he told me just to focus.
You were like,
I said, I told you that.
I told you that. How come when I say it, it doesn't matter? Or you don't hear it, but someone else says it.
Yeah. I think that's been a big one for us, is he can tell me something and I can tell him something, but having somebody, an outside person who's been there and who's been through that, say, look, this is what has worked for me. This is not what has worked for me. These are the steps to help you get there. So for me, one of the biggest things is calling people on the phone, talking to people. And basically, I just have to do it. I just have to take that first step, stop procrastinating. I got a book that my mentor recommended, and basically have just started to take those steps, because I know the next time I have a call with him, he's going to say, hey, did you do that? And I don't want to be the one who says, no, I didn't do that.
Why not? Because I didn't.
Because then it's in the notes that he takes too, that I didn't do it. So I think having somebody just keep you accountable, especially if you're a rule follower, which I am. He's not, but I am. So.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both for hopping on. I think that, I think we talked about a lot of really important stuff. Just one, having a sales process dialed in that's solution focused, that's prescriptive, and that, like you said, helps first and is in line with what problems your prospective clients are looking to solve. And I think another one is being diligent over your money and looking at your ad spend and tracking those numbers, and then also having someone to hold you accountable to these tasks that you're setting out for yourself as you're trying to grow and take your business to the next level and open a new location and conquer the world. So if people want to find you, Leighton, you're hopping on my team.
Yep.
You're going to be available to help others as they go through the 2Brain marketing course. So where can people find you if they want to chat and learn more, or drop in at 13 Stripes?
So our website has a ton of information about it. And for us, all of our contact information is on our website: Facebook, Instagram, email, all of that. Easiest way to reach us. We are in the process of changing the email address on the website, but right now it comes to me, so they would reach me directly. We're turning that over to an admin as part of our whole process.
Nice,
there.
Good.
Yep, that was actually one of my tasks my mentor gave me. So that's how they can get me. Leighton is.
I'm accessible by obviously Facebook, or you can email me at Leighton at 13stripes CrossFit.com, or Leighton.Bingham at 2brainbusiness.com.
So just Leighton at 2Brain.
No, there's the last name.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know his email address.
Mike Lee's very diligent about putting first and last name for the emails.
Man, I would have sent him a wrong email address.
Or you can find me lurking in,
No.
find me lurking in the Facebook marketing group, or just send me a message on Facebook. I'll definitely reply. So
awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me today. I'm excited to see some pictures and videos of the new space.
Yeah, hopefully very soon.